Hey guys, what is up? I am David, and you are listening to an awesome interview, pretty much at courtesy of Fabraz Games. Fabraz Games, right? I say Fabraz. I know some people might pronounce it differently, but Fabraz, yeah?
We usually let just people pronounce it as they will. I've heard Fabraz. We usually say Fabraz.
Oh, Fabraz. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome having you guys here. I have Ben Miller, lead programmer for Demon Turf, and also Edgar Castro, the level and sound designer for Demon Turf. And yeah, this is a really big get for me. I'm like I said, I'm very appreciative having you guys on the show today. This is awesome.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
excited.
Yeah, for sure. So, for people who don't know what Demon Turf is, if you've never heard about this game before, uh, TLDR, quick pitch at you guys. It is a 3D adventure platformer, puzzle platformer, and it is really amazing. It's pretty much a David game, as most of my friends would call it. Like, as soon as I played the demo a couple weeks back, I think it was for Summer Games or Indie Arena booth or something like that. When that first demo dropped onto Steam, I played it, and I was in love with it because there's a lot of. It seems like right now we're in a current phase with indie games where there's a lot of roguelites and roguelikes dropping right now, like Going Under, Hades, Splunky 2 is another one of those. But there's not too many like 3D platformers that kind of harken back to like um, those open world games of like my childhood that I really loved, like Banjo Kazooie, Mario 64, stuff like that. But when they do hit, they hit really hard. So we've had like a Hat in Time. I know there's like another game, Clive and Wrench, coming out, but like Demon Turf pretty much dropped. I think for the first time this summer, which is crazy because also for Brass Games this year had a Skullboy.
Scale Boy, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's
Skullboy
one
was
we
another
didn't
hit.
develop but published.
Yeah, that was another big hit for you guys as well. But now you guys are jumping into like the 3D platformer space with Demon Turf, so that's really awesome. And from what I played, it's pretty solid. So you guys are doing a great job so far. So shout out
Thank
to you
you.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. That's awesome to hear.
But yeah, Ben and Edgar, you guys are big parts of the team. What are your? I already said what your roles are, but you guys want to go in like a little bit more into depth of like how things have been working with the dev team on this game.
Sure. I guess to kick it off, so it's a core team of three. I'm the main programmer or the only programmer, and uh, often I'm building a lot of the like mechanics and tools that then all like the design is shared among all three of us. But I'm building the coding base for it as well as implementing a lot of the mechanics and boss fights and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
And then so Fabian and I share the level design duties, but then the sound design is where I'm typically working with both of them in terms of like if I need something mechanically done for a hazard or interactable, I need to touch base with Ben to implement the sounds there, or otherwise I'm just like editing sounds in DAW like Reason.
So you were part of the sound design team, Edgar. So did you make that awesome like theme song on the title screen of the game, or?
No, so purely just on the sound, but the we have three composers with us working with us to make the soundtrack. So that's the Fat Bard, which is a team of two, and Michael Miller.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was actually really
Yeah,
surprised how good that theme song was. I was like, this is something that kind of like hits the kind of like jet set, like that type of funky beat type of thing going on.
Jet Set
Yeah.
was definitely a big element for
Okay,
both
cool,
Edgar
cool,
and I
cool.
growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was a Fat Bard's track that they do a lot of the level tracks, but then Mike, who's my brother, does like stuff like the Forktown Huff theme, the Victory theme song, and
Yeah,
the boss tracks.
Mm.
awesome. And then in terms of the level design, really good job on that too. It's like so we'll get to the level design in a second because I have a lot to talk about with that. But going back to the
Okay.
TLDR of what Demon Turf is, pretty much like I said, 3D platformer action adventure game. Um, Game with 3D speedrunner potential for sure, which is crazy. Like even with the demo, when that dropped, there were people that were pretty much speed running and trying to one up each other's scores on the demo of like one of 2 levels. And even I saw Fabian, he was in there trying to one up like the community scores as well too. So that was really awesome. So if anything, one thing I want to touch on is when you guys were designing Demon Turf, it seems like this is a very flexible game where there's a lot of things that can happen in here. Like you can go base game completion, which is just getting all of the batteries that you need to beat the game. You can also do like the New Game Plus levels, which are like the what are the other levels called?
The return trip.
Yeah,
states.
the return trip stages after you beat every major boss. There's the New Game Plus version of those levels. Then there's the Gauntlet levels, which is like a whole different bag of skill involved. And then you can also speed run the levels. Then there's the photo mode. And then there's all the other collectibles with like the cartridges and stuff. So you guys have a lot crammed into this game, which is really crazy. So how did you guys go about like figuring out how to pretty much balance the game with amount of content wise?
We're in a constant tense dance with scope creep and trying to figure out when is it actually too much versus actually kind of like that nice balance of a lot of content just to play through. So like you were saying, like there's a lot of different ways you can play through the game of just bare minimum completion is each level has like the main levels has a battery and you need X number to get through the game, but you need to beat all levels for that. There's ways of skipping a level if you're having difficulties with it at the sacrifice of some of your collectibles. So you can also strategically sort of skip some levels. You can do all of the side content. But like, so there's, I don't know, we just found a lot of different ways of what would be interesting both in the main game and as something to kind of explore on the side and really to flesh out that hub town, which is always such like a hard to pin down, but big part of a game with that kind of setting of like the home base that you're sort of residing in a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it seems like even with like all the personality that's in this game too, even like the regular hub town that BEEBZ is from and her squad, there's also all of the different turfs that you go to, which are also their own pretty much lived in worlds where like the bosses are looming over you through the whole time, and you can actually just fully explore those spaces too. And even getting to the different entries of the different levels, you have to like do some platforming to get up to them. So lots of work and creativity going in this. And I was like, even when I was playing it in the demo, I was saying that I could feel the love that went into this game for sure. And like even like I said, harkening back to that time of when it was a time of video game characters and just like you're diving into this whole world pretty much. So yeah, really awesome work with that.
You.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And then on the plot of the game with BEEBZ and her whole thing. So pretty much you're playing as BEEBZ, who is like a demon, just a demon child. Is she actually like a demon princess or something, or?
No nobility, just like a demon kid, young. I think like young 1,000-year-old in the demon world, just come of age. But the story kicks off with, in her dream, the demon king, who's kind of the ruler of this land, taunts her and kind of pokes fun at her. So she decides she's had enough of that and wants to just beat him up and take his throne.
Yeah, I love that like in that opening stage of the demo, where it seems like they've had this back and forth before. Like she's just like kind of like almost like a nuisance to him, where she's tried to clearly usurp the Demon King before, and even everyone in the hub town, they're just like, oh, what are you doing today, BEEBZ? And she's like, oh, I'm going to fight the Demon King. And they're like, yeah, sure, go have fun with that again. Like a Pinky in the Brain scenario. What are we doing today? We're trying to take over the Demon King again. So
right.
Yeah. But I like how it's kind of like an underdog story with this one, where it's you have a character who's like almost seemingly a nobody, and then you're over the course of the game, she's like pretty much fighting all of these turfs, beating all of these bosses, and then by the end of the game, she has her own following. So it's like you're growing with the character as you're playing through. So that's actually a really cool premise, I like, for sure. So you guys pretty much hit it out of the park with that.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we definitely were trying to explore that quite a bit, of just having this character who was very much people didn't quite believe in her and didn't think she had it in her, and whether we're not delving too much into like the real world ramifications of demon monarchies and such, but having just her having the drive to sort of like fight back against that assumption, I guess, is the main core of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also having that come through not only through the characters but the with the levels, with the like return trips, Not
Mhm.
like sometimes you'll see like BEEBZ for Queen plastered around the walls because
Oh,
she already took
nice.
over that turf and stuff like that.
Okay. I like that little
Yeah,
bit of
and you
extra
start
personality in there. That's cool.
Yeah, like and just seeing some of the actual nature of some of the levels of what, because each one is usually themed around some part of that demon world. So like one is a bank that's where the vault where the demon king keeps all his jewels. That once you take over, you start to see how it changes under BEEBZ's management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to touch on that anymore, Edgar? Or?
No, that's that's all.
Okay, cool. And then also, being a 3D platformer, since we recently did have like the Mario 3D All Stars collection drop, pretty much people are just getting that itch scratched pretty hard right now. But one thing that I do love, especially when it comes to 3D platformers, like even indie games, like I'll use Hat in Time as example. Um, with that one, it's pretty much just like base platforming, and then I think you had like a grappling hook and other stuff you can use in this one. But with this one feels a lot more like Mario 64 inspired, or just like Mario platformer inspired, because I try without even like really paying attention to the demo or the tutorial. I just started doing maneuvers that I would do in a Mario platformer. So I started, okay, can I do the run and quick backwards flip? She could do that. I was like, okay, is there any type of like backflip move? There's one of those. She has a long jump. She has a super long jump. And I was like, oh, there's like jump meta in this. So it's like you can walk off a thing, do a extended jump, and then regular jump is still there. And I was like, oh, so people can like tech this game. That's crazy. So yeah, you guys did a really good job of figuring out the potential for speedrun tech, like I said. So when it came to creating this game, how much did you guys want to actually put effort into making it where people can get through this game as fast as they wanted to, or as like leisurely as they wanted to?
I'd say it was a big focus early on, since our last own developed game was Slime Song, which is a 2D platformer, very like twitchy and fast paced,
Like
and
Super
had a
Meat
similar.
Boy-ish, I usually compare that one to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And that had a whole sort of speedrunning community around it that we also were engaging with back before release. And just, we always want to make sure that was fun for that first pass of just playing a game of like me just sort of picking Mario for the first time, but then still have enough range or potential in the move sets that you could do this sort of teching and abusing the mechanics and physics of the world to get through areas as fast as you can, and having little like, even finding like little tricks and shortcuts that we'd, if they still felt fun to pull off, leaving that in as a reward for players who are really like ingenuous and figuring out how to navigate.
Yeah, like whenever you go through a level and you're just going through it at your own pace, I'm sure like a lot of players are gonna have that moment where it takes them like 5 minutes or 8 minutes to finish a level. Then they see that speedrun timer or that speedrun trophy, and it's like, oh yeah, 1:30, and they're like, 1:30. So like they have to try to find those different pathways that are actually in those levels. So giving those gamers the flexibility to do that is really cool. I'm really interested in seeing how Games Done Quick tackles that for sure. Whenever that next one is. Let's see. Again, really. Oh, so this is pretty much the first major game for Fabraz Games that's like in a 3D space, like 3D platformer type of thing. Does this mean you guys are going to start going more into that plane of gameplay now, or are you guys going to keep just pretty much doing whatever comes to mind? Or are you going to...
Probably whatever comes to mind. We have jumped around from game to game, and that this one feels a little bit like a continuation of what we were doing with Slime Song, and our publishing work also muddies the waters with that a little bit. But I think we kind of enjoy sort of exploring, you know, each project as it comes in, figuring out what works best for art style, mechanics, and that kind of thing. So, like, I don't know, this might be a world that we want to continue with, and that, like, there's always just stuff on the back burner that we could keep on exploring, like more turfs, but also we definitely have a track record of kind of jumping between games and styles and genres between each entry.
For sure.
Exactly.
Okay. And then also with this game pretty much coming out a little bit into the next gen jump that we're making right now, how has that been for you guys as a indie game developer? I know this game is also coming to the new Xboxes, I believe, and it's also on Switch. But anything happening with like PS5, or have you guys been considering that at all? Or
Currently looking into it. I don't think anything really to announce there just yet. for the most part, we've been just focusing on getting the main game done, and then ship once that's sort of stable and like features are rolled out and everything is ready. Then we shift more of the mentality of porting and then map into the hardware for each system.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I know that's gonna be probably a really big jump for Fabraz Games when you guys end up making that first game that's exclusive PS5, PS4, well PS5, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox Series,
yeah.
Series XS.
But yeah, that's awesome. And then let's see, going back to the amount of content there is in this game, I saw that one thing that I really like about your company is you guys like to always harken back to you guys always remember where you came from. You always harken back to that. It's like how there's the arcade under the main hub town, and there's all the levels that apparently are references for sure, like I said, to those Mario games. I think I saw one teased on Twitter. It was like one that was based off a TikTok clock from 64. And just looking at the titles for some of those, I could tell that I could already guess where some of those were going to come from. But that, like I said again, that goes to how much content you guys have put into this game, where there's also there's the gauntlets, and then there's also these levels too. So you guys just like cramp so much into this. So that's like one thing I want to say is really awesome for you guys.
Yeah.
With the slime sound. No, just like it's kind of becoming a staple of ours because of slime sound, with all that all the different ways to kind of package the different types of content we can make.
Yeah, because even with Slime Song, it was like A-side, B-side levels, plus the expansions, and then those had A-sides and B-sides, plus other stuff too, like all the bonus levels and things like that. So you guys are known for like putting a lot of money, like bang for their buck when it comes to getting people their games, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, I see that a little bit as a combination of like there's always just that difficulty of cutting an idea that you really like, but then not like, well, we have this weird thought for like a golfing mini game that works with the physics for the combat system in the game, but then clearly we can't build a level around that. Let's just build a set of mini challenges around that. But so some of it's just like we have weird ideas and then just go with them. But the other half I think is partially tied into our team makeup, that I'm the only programmer, so that there will often be times where depending on the project's life cycle, I might be working on fixes or porting or other things, and then that leaves Edgar and Fabian to kind of play around with things. And that's how, for instance, like the Slime Song DLC came about for a large part, was just while I was working on porting, and that while I'm working on like implementing turf mechanics for a new turf, then that left them to try out some other like side levels like the main challenge gauntlets, because like I was working on later mechanics.
Okay. Yeah. And then let's talk about really quick with the design of this game for sure also. So 3D space, 2D sprites, Paper Mario aesthetic, of course, is the first thing most people think about. But I'd say with the Paper Mario aesthetic, he only has like, front, back, and then left and right. But BEEBZ is like full 8 different directions. Like every time you turn the controller, her sprite changes, even for all of her different animations and stuff like that. So how hard was that to animate and get precision platforming in a 3D space with a 2D sprite?
Fairly. So just in terms of animation, there's just a lot, and just for like because it's every action, you need 8 different animations with the relevant sprites for all of those. So just sort of that quickly explodes in terms of just like the number of sprites to create this character and make it look fleshed out. Because like there gets to be a hard limit of, you could do the same thing, for instance, of only having 4, but then the more you sort of flatten that, the less you get that sort of sense of slight merging of 2D and 3D as you're like moving the camera around, for instance.
Okay.
And in terms of spacing, that was more on we have lots of little small touches to try and basically make that as much of a sense of space and placement for the characters as you can. So there's obvious ones like the drop shadow, making sure that the actual like spacing of the sprite and her collider is always relatively consistent, having a little ground placement circle that is kind of like the drop shadow, but the drop shadow will recede as you go up like a shadow would. But then that lets you it both grounds it in a more deliberate way than the shadow, but also gives you kind of a spacing distance thing, because the shadow will fill up as you get closer. So just like besides Beebs' character sprite herself, there's lots of like little side supplemental things to try and give you as much of a sense of space as you can.
Oh, okay. Cool. And then, really quick, I guess this question will be for you, Edgar. The level design, how big do you guys feel is too big with these? Because you guys already made the turf spaces, which I already feel is huge. But then you're like, oh, there's other levels in these, and then I went into like the one level with the vault in the first turf, and I was like, this is huge as heck. Like, this is big, and this is only like level 2. So I'm wondering how big these levels actually are gonna get later on into the game. Because I even saw like there's the tropical themed one. There's the one in the Neo City with like a train going through it. So, how did you guys go about making the decision to either do big worlds, or multiple medium-sized ideas or something like that?
So that usually was a mix of seeing like what kinds of I guess like hazards we had in mind for each turf and for the different levels in each turf, but also like how long it would just take a level for someone to beat a level. I think at least early on, if it took like longer than 6 or 7 minutes, then we had to like
Had to scale it back a
scope
little
it
bit.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, otherwise it's just like they'll the later on the later on you get into the game, the bigger it starts opening up, uh because partially because of different like new hazards we introduced, but also because of the turf abilities. We'll have like a rollout where you can go super fast and you're constantly rolling, where we'll have like these long sprawling roads that start falling down once you touch them. So we needed to like expand the space of certain
Gotcha. Okay.
levels for those types of mechanics.
And then also touching on those the turf abilities. Each time she beats a boss, she gets a new power. I think one was a hook shot, the rollout, the time bubble, and then glide. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with those levels, with the return stages, couldn't a player pretty much go through the whole game, get all the turf abilities, then go back to the first world with the turf abilities, and then potentially beat the level faster with all the abilities under the belt too?
Yeah, and that's very much an intentional part of how we're laying it out. So they will definitely get you through there faster, but we always tried to design it around and not making it just like you can skip the level essentially. So a lot of them, for instance, like the glide is a very powerful ability for getting around, but you're often climbing up in levels to actually get to the final destination. So that's, for instance, one that like you can bypass smaller jumps in some platforming sections, but you can't just skip the level. And that, for instance, for the leaderboards, we are showing different elements that would affect this. So like mods, for instance, that are another thief can unlock that vary up your playstyle and moveset abilities, that we reflect those in the leaderboards to make clear what the player is using and making use of to get these times.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool. So you're like pretty much like breaking it down with each run that pretty much happens.
That's the goal. And sorry.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say like it clues in the person looking at the leaderboards if they're seeing like the top one is using a certain order of mods. They're like, okay, so they're using this, and then they might play around in the level with those mods to see how the person might have gotten to that spot in the leaderboard.
Interesting. Okay. And then another gameplay mechanic that I haven't really talked about too much, but I thought was really interesting, and especially for a 3D platformer, is you guys have a place your own checkpoint system in play. So when you start the level, there's one checkpoint, which is basically just the starting flag, but then you can put up to 2 more, correct?
Yes, though 3 with one of the mods.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But I thought that was really interesting, because it brought me back to when I guess I was playing. I think Hollow Knight was the first game I experienced that, or like even Ori, when I experienced I could place my own checkpoints. So pretty much you can also make the game as hard as you want to, where some people are like, oh, I'm going to go through this level, not even place a checkpoint down, and if I have to start over, I'll just start over. Or you can use up all your checkpoints, or some people can use them as ways to quick map their, like if they want to try out different speedrunning tactics, they can just have like a reset point or something like that. So also really flexible use of that. So I think that's a really cool implementation that you guys had that yeah, really cool implementation there. Because I know a lot of platforming games right now are starting to try to work away from the live system. Even like the new Crash 4, they have it where it pretty much just adds up the lives rather than taking them away. So having that checkpoint system is really cool implementation. And then even the photo mode too, because what's a 3D platformer in 2020 without a photo mode at this point? So not only is it just in there just for people to take awesome photos in game, which I'm looking forward to seeing what the Demon Turf community does with that, but also it's also tied to a side quest chain that you also add into the game. Now there's enough in here already, but you also can look around for photos to take. So
Yeah.
what was the idea behind that one?
I believe it.
Yeah. You go ahead.
I believe it started with photo mode, and then we added the quest because it felt like, well, this is, as often happens when we add a feature, like it started as just simply like a little camera visual, like viewfinder that you then snapped a picture, and then we started adding filters, selfie mode, uploading, saving to disk, and realized like this is now gone far enough. We should actually
Just
add just like a quest
gamify it.
line for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that I think it was Fabian that suggested this one because of it's Wind Waker, I think, has this as well, that you can like snap pictures, and so that was one that he kind of like loved as just a way of sort of adding more incentive to explore the world and take a closer look at things.
Yeah, I love how Instagram is canonically in hell or in the demon realm, so that's great. And then what was another thing I was about to touch on too? It was the photo mode, and then I think I lost it. That was a really good question too. But yeah, photo mode's really cool. And then and the voice acting. That's one thing I didn't expect to hear in this game too. So you guys have a really cool cast of characters in here. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Demon King is voiced by the guy who also does the main character for ReZero, the English dub, I think. Or Rivali's English dub, I think.
Yes, Rivali was the one I heard. I didn't know about ReZero though.
But yeah, you guys have a really cool. Who does BEEBZ' voice?
That is the wife of one of the composers with Fat Bard, actually. So
okay.
I think she first contributed some lines. Is this right, Edgar? Like first she contributed for one of the raps on one of the songs, and then we decided that was BEEBZ, and then she kind of just stepped in as the voice actress.
Potentially, yeah. I can't remember the order, but it was definitely either trying her out for the voice, like to use in game, or for one of the tracks, and then it kind of just we ended up sticking with her.
That's awesome. Yeah, but the whole game being voiced like that is really awesome. That was like a touch I didn't expect to see. So brings a lot more personality into the world for sure. So I really like that. And let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much like I said. Me interviewing indie game devs is just my way of being able to gush to them in person for 30 minutes. But also, of course, I just really wanted to, like I said, spread the word of this game. You guys have, I know you guys are shooting for either super late 2020 or early 2021. Is becoming more in like the 2021 range at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. I have enough games to play right now anyway, so we can add that to the queue when we get to it. But for sure, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of other people are too. Yeah, lots of personality in this game. I love the placing the flag animation, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's I really love that one. Just like the attitude with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and let's see. Yeah, and then there's even like mods and different colors you can add to her too, as well.
Right. Yeah. There's the colors, like the dyes you can buy for different parts of your clothing, and the pets as well.
Was there inspiration from Shantae when it came to her transformations a little bit? Because that's the vibe I got when I first saw her transform.
Oh,
At least me personally, I was just like, because when she was in water, she became the little squid thing, and then when she was transforming in the air, she had like her own little form for that. So I was wondering if that was any inspiration for the character design, at least on the transforming side.
That was coming from Fabian. I know he's played Shantae, but I don't remember him bringing it up as kind of a reference point for it.
Okay. But yeah. I love her also her bib. her bib is like apparently sentient because it also has emotion when she emotes too. That was something I caught also.
The eyeball, yeah, moving around.
Like she has an idol where she's just scrolling through her phone, and the eyeball on the shirt's also sort of scrolling along, looking at it.
Oh, and
it's
then
my little headcanon. I'm not entirely sure if this is also just like another. Basically, that's also part of her body.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's either her pet or it's just a demon thing. We'll just go with it, unspoken.
Yep.
And then also with the like I said, amazing cast of characters here. The Candyman that's in that one building for the gauntlets. What was his
Mr.
name?
Mint.
Yeah. Mr. Mint.
Yeah, Mr. Mint he looks like one of the suckers that you'd be collecting. So you're just wondering if that's like a sentient version of one of those or whatever.
Yeah.
there might be something to that idea. You'll have to play through his questline to find out.
Yeah. And is his questline just going through all of those gauntlets pretty much?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are the challenges.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I was like struggling with one of the ones in the demo, so I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be rage game fuel for sure." I'm looking forward to that. But
yeah, because those ones especially are kind of like they're closer to something like the little special zones in Mario where like you lose either Cappy or Flood when it's just like raw platforming skills.
Just raw skill, yeah.
Yeah, you can't place checkpoints or anything, so you gotta make it in one run.
Yeah, that 100% whatever that trophy or achievement's gonna be, that's just gonna be all flex, and I'm just gonna look forward to see how many people get that one. So it's gonna be really good. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have for you guys here. Like I said, great premise, underdog story, so much content in this game. I'm gonna be playing this one for a good minute. Can never have too many awesome 3D platformers in this day and age for sure. We love that around here. But yeah. I think that's pretty much it. So we're gonna wrap up. Ben, Edgar, do you guys have any like personal socials you want to plug or anything you want to plug for the game or anything?
I guess just following the Fabraz Twitter, FAB or at FABRAZZ, or you could follow mine, though I basically post once a year, but it's at Strange Bloops. Maybe it'll be that soon for like my yearly post. So
yeah, I'm in the middle where I post more than Ben, but not as much as the Fabraz official Twitter. So you can follow me at Eon Nomad.
And then also WISHLIST Demon Turf on Steam.
Yes.
And keep an eye out for Demon Turf Trials, which is kind of our little bite-sized introduction to the game where you get to take part in weekly challenges to try out those different gauntlet levels and compete on leaderboards.
I looked into that before the interview, and I was wondering, when does that come out specifically? Is there like a date set in stone or just soon?
Ballpark is end of November. We're working on the dates now.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
I can't wait to
soon.
jump into that for sure. All right, cool. We're going to end this, but thank you so much for listening, guys. Again, I am Dave from Common RDW, where we do awesome interviews like this with other indie game devs and maybe AAA one day, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.